Greetings and salutations, guys. Welcome back to Stoffel Presents. Now, this is our new series of developer interviews, and we have a very special one today. We have none other than Sir Toby himself from Warhorse Studios.
Yeah.
How are you doing today,
Thank you
sir?
very much for having me. It's been a long time, right? So it's good to have you back. Good to see you back. Good for us to be back with a new game, and good that we can talk about it.
Yeah, I was just thinking earlier, like the first time I interviewed you, the first time I met you was at Haber Castle. Your new home you'd just bought with all that Kickstarter money.
Exactly.
And now today I'm interviewing you from my home, so it's kind of, we've gone full circle. It's like the away fixture.
It was, when was that? Like, was that 2017 or something?
Yeah, it was a
great
fair
experience,
while back,
though.
was that, yeah.
You know, there was a time when everyone was like, well, while we are, of course, trusting the product, I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have done it, of course, but it was still like this, there was this uncertainty if it will click well with the audience, if it will sell well, and so on and so on. Luckily it did, and now we can, work with a successful base and build upon that, so the situation is slightly different. However, of course, we're still equally nervous as we were before, and it's again now, as we speak right now, it's 2 weeks before the release. It's a really wild time with wild things happening left and right, but I'm really looking forward. And I'm 99% sure everyone is eagerly looking forward to the release and to have actual real gamers and people playing the game, so that's a big thing.
Well, that's one thing I want to ask you. How is that? There's always going to be nervousness around a launch, but how is it different this time? Because the first time you had a new game, unknown studio, but you had this phenomenal Kickstarter campaign, so you knew there was some backing there was some desire for it. Since Kingdom Come came out, there's been a lot of when's number 2 coming? Every single post, when's 2 coming? When's 2 coming? So is it a different nervousness, or is it still the same that the desire's there, but will it sell?
Well, it's very different, honestly, because in the first game, the people out there who were waiting for the game, other than even the Kickstarter backers, they had some kind of like, how should I say it, some imagination of the product. So they were thinking, in their head, they were putting together what they believe is Kingdom Come Deliverance. While we try to do videos and everything and release alphas and betas and whatnot, they still kind of had their own imagination of how the game will actually look like in the end. So we were very nervous if the concept we are trying to do, having a game that is more lean back, that where the combat is a little bit more like tricky, where you have to like really invest some time in the mechanics and so on, if that will click with the people. Now with KCD2, we know as a fact that these things worked and people liked it, and what we could do now is work with a solid basement, improve all the stuff that people didn't like, add new stuff that maybe would enrich the story or whatnot, and the nervousness is more is different in the sense that, of course, we trusted the game yet again. I still think it would be a great thing to play, but still we are all artists here, right? And you're like working 7 years on a product, and then at some point you just see it leave the nest, and then you can't influence it anymore in a way that, like, I don't know, people are now trying the game and they will make their own impressions of it, and of course that's a very nervous situation because you never know, right? Will they like it? Will they not like it? Did the changes we did or the improvements we did, are they actually like appreciated by the people, and so on and so on? But yeah, I think we will eat very good in February.
I think you will be feasting, good sir. So with the hype that's been building for it, for even when it wasn't announced, there was people been asking for years, like, when's Kingdom Come 2 come in? How long has it been in development, number 2? How long is this?
Well, that's so the first game released in Feb 2018, and from that point on we had to wait if the game is successful. Then we started to work on, of course, patches and stuff like that, and hotfixes, and then also on the DLCs. And a small group of writers already started to think of, okay, how would we continue the story? But I'd say if you want to point it to a specific date or period, I would point it to like somewhere like yeah, with the release of the Royal Edition somewhere, what was it, like April or so, May or March 2019, somewhere there. At this point, the entire studio shifted towards working on the new game. So yeah, 6 years in the making, 7 years from the last release, 6 years in the making.
And as a developer, how do you receive those comments? You know, everyone's asking everything you post. Everyone's asking about when's the sequel coming. Are you sat there sort of like, this is great, the fans want it, or are you sat there going, shut up, I'll tell you when it's ready?
Oh, it's really great that people want it, but the terrible part was us not being able to talk about it. I mean, theoretically we could have, but you know, with KCD1 we had let's call it a campaign of 4 years. It was announced in a way in the Kickstarter in 2014 and released in 2018. So 4 years of constant trying to keep up the hype and everything. I think we managed really well, and the alphas and betas and everything worked good, but we were releasing like half-finished products that were changing under our hands. So it was like life is a process and game development is a process, and in processes things change. So this time around we wanted to put much more focus in getting a solid product, having something on hand, have it playable, be able to release trailers and so on, and then announce it. And this is what we did. So yes, we were constantly addressed like when is the next game coming and whatnot. But we decided, as I said, that we announced it, when was it, like June or July this year in 2020, last year I mean, in 2024. So roughly by that time we still thought that we will release in 2024. That moved a little bit, but now looking back, like 3/4 of a year before release. And the game that I was announcing the game with directly having a genre's preview, which I mean, so we announced the game, and a few days later, or weeks later, or months later, or something like short after, we invited press from all around the world to come here and try the first impressions in a way. And we had a solid running, great build for them. They played for 4 hours, I think, and the game, but at that point, that was like July 24, ran better than KCD1 on release. So we wanted to have this part nailed down so that the experience is just better.
I mean, Kingdom Come Deliverance was an absolute massive smash, and it's got a massive cult following. Do you have to have played 1 to be able to play 2, or is it a standalone game or a direct sequel?
I think as a developer you would be foolish if you go that route, because you can't, unless you release the games like very close to each other, you can't rely on the fact that, or we can't rely on the fact that someone who played the game in 2018 remembers what the plot was about, or who's Henry, who's Hans. I mean, probably you remember the main character, but still, you probably don't know what you did there or why things happened. So from the get-go, we knew that we have to develop it in a way so that, on one hand, fans and community and everyone, they should feel right at home and should immediately say, yes, that's my game, I get it, let's go. And they shouldn't be annoyed by any, first you have to watch this lengthy video or whatnot. So that is something we didn't want. But meanwhile, you also have that massive audience that we know is out there that wants to play KCD2 and never touched or never heard even about KCD1. Even those people are existing. But even those need to be on board and need to feel that they know what they're doing and that they don't feel left out and stuff like this. And I strongly believe we have an extremely good balance in the game. So the beginning's very cinematic. There's a lot of like Henry's going through like these nightmares. There's dialogues where they will like reference a few things from the beginning. If you know how to answer, then you answer. The dialogue will be according to that. If you don't know, then they will tell you and so on. So it's very naturally put into the game, so that it's never fist in your face, but really slowly but steadily we get you up to speed. And we only give you the bare necessary information. Like, this is you, that's your friend, this is your quest, this is a castle. There you go. And everything else is just really opening up and unfolding in front of you, so there's really not much you there's actually nothing you desperately need to know. So, long story short, you don't have to play KCD1 to enjoy KCD2.
That's good. So yeah, it sounds like you've gone the right way about it. It's you want it to feel like an old pair of slippers. You know, someone puts them on and feels comfortable and they're off again, but then someone new can come along and not be hampered by that. But speaking of keeping it familiar for players of the first game, what's new in KCD2 and what's gone?
Well, I'd say nothing is new and everything is new. What I mean by that is that KCD2 is definitely a huge evolution from the first game, not a revolution. So we're not doing anything massively different than we did in the first game, but we expanded and upgraded every single system people know from the first game. So from the dialogue system, through the plot, through the combat system, even the bloody dice minigame was upgraded. So it just should feel generally smoother, better, more fleshed out, and so on. And I think that is the big thing. And I can already from the early previews tell that the testers, the reviewers, that they're extremely appreciating the way how we did it this time around. It's just more responsive. It's just the experience is just smoother and the learning curve isn't as steep, while it stays true for what it stands for, being like a true nitty-gritty RPG from the old days with all the decisions you can do and the consequences that will come out of them, and so on and so on. So that's that. But if you want specific like features that are new, then of course, some of the stuff we weren't able to put in the first game, like a blacksmithing minigame, for instance. Henry is the son of a blacksmith, but is not able to blacksmith. That was kind of a bummer. So, of course, we wanted to have that minigame already in the first game, but didn't manage to because of reasons. And now this is the single biggest minigame that is added, I guess. But then we have also new weapons, like early gunpowder weapons, crossbows, pole arms, and so on. But I think it's less about these are the things, this is a list of things we added. It's more like this is the game we always wanted to make. This is the game we had in mind in 2011 or so, and even before, when they started with Warhorse Studios and we were looking for a budget and developers and I don't know what. So nothing bad about the first game, but KCD2 is so much better in every single aspect, and that's the game we always wanted. A huge city. KCD2 will feature a huge city, something we couldn't even dream of in KCD1, because we weren't able to pull it off.
So what was the? It seems like you've gone down this. You know, like I said, it's an evolution, not a revolution. And
yeah.
I've not got hands on with the game yet myself, but I've seen a lot of love online from the press that have. What was the biggest pressure or the most difficult thing in the development of KC2?
You know, we had a kind of change of mind this time in the development. I think there's like two philosophies when you're working on a game generally, or what makes a game a good game, I think. So on one hand, you have the philosophy like the more content is inside, the better it is. So you put more and more and more and more content, and the richer the game is, the more people feel like it's a good game. That's one philosophy. And then that is what we tried a lot with KCD1. We put a lot of emphasis to have as much as possible content-wise and feature-wise and so on in the game. However, that led to the fact that we ran a little bit out of time in the end to make the system run smoothly and to make it like feel good, and so like from the technical perspective, I mean. Because that's the other side or the other philosophy, like having not that many crazy different features, but the ones that are in the game, that they are fleshed out, solid, bulletproof, that they just feel great when you play them. You have this like, wow, that's amazing kind of feeling because it just works and it's just great. And this is so what we learned a lot from the first game, and now try to change and did change, which is also visible in the previews a lot, is that we gave ourselves much more time for the second part, for the second philosophy. Took more time at the end of development and earlier started to say, that's enough, this won't be added, like to the devs, like everyone, they're all artists. They will now come in and say, hey, how about we add this feature? This will make the game 1,000 times better.
It's never completed. It's never finished.
That's a daily, non-stop conversation. They will forever say, if we scratch that line and record it yet again, then it will be 1,000 times better. And Martin Klim, our executive producer, he was like, no, we have to stop it now. There will be no more additions. We will now take what we have and we make it amazing. We will get rid of all the bugs that are annoying. Of course, it's a huge RPG, so there will always be bugs, and we will continue working on that. But make all the annoying stuff go away. Make these systems feel better. Make it just like rounder, so that you don't get frustrated by it, and so on and so on. And I believe strongly that we've nailed this. At least it looks like it, as of right now, that we nailed this part much more than in the first game, and you could see this from the early previews that journalists are praising how stable it runs, how smooth it runs, and how just the experience is better.
I think that is the sign of quality that Warhorse Studios has, is that it's that attention to the detail, that attention to making everything work. There's no big. There's no big feature or into the game. It's just we want to make it work, and it sounds so simple. But when you're playing a game like that, it really does come through. That it feels natural to play it.
It's definitely. I'd say I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean I actually mean it in a good way. That it's a lot like KCE1, just way better. So you will feel familiar when you start up the game. And yesterday I saw a preview of Dare to Game, a really great content creator, who said that he loved KCD1 a lot, one of his favorite games of all times. Now he played preview the second game, and that he feels like he will have an extremely hard time to ever get back into the first game, because the second is just builds up on top of what he experienced already in the first game. So yeah.
I mean, there is that case, like with musicians, you have that difficult second album. Did you have that kind of feeling with KC2, that you've got, not only you're building hype for the game, but you've got an expectation to live up to now, that this is the standard you set, you've got to clear that bar the second time?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, generally, of course we have expectations and stuff, and we want to, but at the end of the day, we just want to make a great video game, and everyone should love it and appreciate it. And that's what I said in the beginning. We're super nervous about how people will react to it. While I'm telling all the good stuff right now and how I feel like the previews are going really our way this time, you never know, because so right now, some selected press and reviewers have the game, but that's still not the massive audience of gamers out there, right? Mm-hmm. These are the ones that are actually important, and these are the ones who will judge with their wallets and with the thumbs up or thumbs down or whatever. So we have a good indicator that we are working on something great, but at the end, I think 4th of February, that's the day where Judgment Day, in a way.
So, I don't want to be too negative on the development side of it. So, 6 years in development, what was the most enjoyable aspect of making KC2? What was...
Most enjoyable?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's it, yeah. That's caught you off guard.
I mean, the entire process is... releasing is just really the pinnacle of it. Of course, releasing will be a great moment because everyone here in the offices, they are working on patches and DLCs and whatnot, but they're also looking at the previews. So at the end is of course nice if you can see that people are reacting well to it. But the entire process of getting together, talking about the features, trying to come up with solutions, everyone can come up here with ideas and have a strong saying. And I know this sounds like a phrase, but all the 250 people we have here in the studio right now, all of them are equally able to raise their voices and say, hey, I like this or don't like this, and we should change this or that. Mm-hmm. And we at least discuss it. At the end, someone needs to come to a conclusion and decision, of course. But
a good idea is a good idea, no matter where it comes from.
Come again?
A good idea is a good idea, no matter where it comes from. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, exactly. But then, of course, there's the elders who are then discussing if it's actually a good, like if it's actually implementable or not. But I think what is cool here that the and again this is probably so super phrasish, but uh, people generally like each other here a lot. So
Yeah.
there's huge friendship groups. They're meeting outside the offices. They're going regularly getting shit faced in the pub together and so on. So I think that helps generally. And this the age level is relatively low. The age is relatively low. So I think the friendship among here is pretty good, and that feels great. So the entire way of getting to the end is just amazing. From seeing the early beginnings of broken everything to now having the crazes on the previews. That's like the entire journey is amazing. 6 years is probably, in my opinion, too long. I would wish to be faster, but it is what it
It
is.
is what it is. You mentioned there like everyone's like close friends group and whatnot, really social in the office. Does that result in an epic office party for launch day, or are they all going to be too busy working on KC3 already?
First, on the we at Warhorse we do it the night before release. So on the third we will absolutely get shit faced. On the fourth we will cure our hangover. And I think someone needs to go to the office though to actually release the game on Steam. So not to forget that. But yeah, there will be a massive party. It's more like a. But that's not where the story ends. It's just a milestone, right? The
Yeah, but
fourth
I'm assuming
we
that
will cure
party.
the hangover.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the fourth we will cure the hangover, but on the fifth everyone will be in the office again, and we will be working on the DLCs. We will be working on patches. We will work on, of course, checking the reviews. We will see what the people say. We will see if there's massive problems somewhere. If there's something unforeseen. I mean, there will definitely be something unforeseen. Because when millions of people, like hopefully millions of
Yep.
people play the game, then you get to see stuff which you didn't expect. But yeah, Audentis Fortuna Juvat, fortune favors the brave.
Yeah, I suppose I can imagine it'd be a massive cathartic release as well when that game launches. You're just kind of like, that's done. It's out there. It's gone.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, again, I'm in the office almost I'm in the team for almost 11 years, and that's just the second game we are releasing. So, and there were people coming before me to Warhorse Studios. So you need to really it's I spent almost a third of my life here in a way, right? So
Yeah.
or a quarter of my life. So it's big, and that's where the nervousness comes from. Let's say something like, let's imagine it will be a massive fail. What then, right? So, and not knowing how the gaming industry is now somewhat in the shits in the last years, it's not a good position to be in. But again, knocking on wood, I think everything should be fine, and I don't want to jinx it, but
I think it's
can't
gonna
wait
be.
to finally release it.
I think it's going to be okay. I've got a couple of questions here from some of our readers. If you don't, I've got two quick questions for you.
Yeah.
So Simon Beckett asks, is lockpicking going to be easier than the last game?
I saw. I was reading one. No, I listened to one of the preview videos, and he was saying, can't remember who it was, and he was saying, "Oh, the combat is better, and the sneaking is better. Lockpicking is equally shit, but everything is like, what? No, dude. So it's still the system is the same, of course. It is, of course, tweaked. It is it's more responsive. The movements should be easier, and they should be more straightforward in a way. But it's still the basis is still the same. The concept is still the same. You have to turn the lock and stay at this golden point and turn it with it. But for everyone who has troubles with lock picking, so there's potions in the games that will massively help you. So just the game offers you almost always a solution to all the problems that you're facing. If something doesn't work, there's most likely always a second, third, or fourth option how to solve these problems. And if lockpicking is a problem, well then get I think it's like Fast Fingers or something is the name, I can't remember, potion, and this boosts your lockpicking or all the stealth skills, and you will definitely be able to open the chest then. And as always in Kingdom Come Deliverance, every level up you have, every single level you grind, you will have a massive, you will feel it massively that Henry got better and that he honed his skills. So it will become easier and easier and easier until it becomes a piece of cake.
There we go.
Even for this particular reason.
Even for Simon Beckett, even he'll be able to lockpick.
Yeah.
And then Dean Berrett asks, it may have already been asked, but he'd like to know if hunting, fishing, and general survival elements will be added or further developed.
Yeah.
Is there going to be such things like diseases?
Yeah. So there are slight survival aspects, and yet again we tried to make them more interesting. So Henry has to eat. He cannot fish, but you can. Fishing is not in the game, but you can poach pretty much or hunt. Because hunting is not allowed, so it's more or less poaching.
Yeah.
You have to prepare food because that one can spoil, same as herbs. So if you want to go on a long quest or something, make sure you have some food with you. Don't always use fresh meat, for instance, or cook it up or whatever. Then it holds longer. And if you even need it to be even more, how do you call it? Like even able to hold out longer, then you can now dry the meat, for instance, or dry the herbs, so they will stay fresher for a longer time. They will be not as good as if you would have it actually fresh. So if you brew a potion with fresh herbs, it's much better than you do it with dried herbs. But still, it's like this RPG kind of system. Prepare for your fight, prepare for your quest, and then go ahead and do it. But we didn't go massively crazy about the survival aspects. The only things that are kind of like nagging you are your general HP, your health, of course, so you need to stay healthy, obviously. You can, there's an energy level, so when you have to actually sleep, so you need to rest, and hunger or nourishment, so you need to be well fed to be able to hold out longer. If you are overly tired, then you can faint. If you're overly hungry, you lose energy, and so on and so on. So it's like these slight extra RPG elements or like survival elements in the game. But you cannot fish, you can hunt. So.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And then one final question before the internet gets in on it. I want to be the first one to ask. When is Kingdom Come 3 coming out?
So first of all, hey, the thing is, we are right now finishing the game. That is obvious. The game itself is finished, but what we're working on as of right now is some day one patches and these kind of things. That's usually happening. That's always happening in the game industry, because you guys need to understand that, for instance, for consoles, if you want to have it on physical CD, you need to, or Blu-ray or whatever, then you need to give the game to Sony or Microsoft 3 or 4 months before the release. Mm-hmm. So you know that in between that point and the release, the 3 or 4 months of work, this can mean
could be big changes or a lot of bugs. Yeah,
so absolute. And this is my recommendation: when you fire up the game on PlayStation, patch it, download the day one. It's just
check for updates. Instantly check for updates.
But I think that's the rule for pretty much every game. But then we are starting to work on DLCs right now. Yesterday on the 21st we announced our DLC roadmap, so there's something coming. Well, and after the DLCs are done, then we will shift to a new project. But I don't know if that will be a new KCD or anything else, because I don't know. Maybe we don't want to be a one-trick pony. So let's see.
No, I'm sure you. I don't think you'd ever be accused of being a one-trick pony when you created such an epic RPG.
Yeah.
Sir Toby, thank you very much for your help, you sexy beast. Thank you for doing this today for me. I really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, sir.
And I wish you all the best with the launch, my good friend.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Stay healthy, stay vigilant. See you in Bohemia 1403, and fortune favors the brave.